Officer Nathan Rusk sees a black woman in a luxury car and assumes she's just another thief to stop. Another lie to expose. But what he doesn't know, she's Judge Cassandra Lowell, and her courtroom isn't just where she presides. It's where his career will collapse. Stick around, because when the footage goes viral and if Officer RuskExposed ignites his badge, won't defend him, it'll indict him. They thought she didn't belong behind the wheel. What they didn't know, she's about to take the whole system for a ride. Be sure to let us know where you're watching from and what time you stumbled upon this video. Subscribe to join us on this journey. Officer Nathan Rusk's fingers drum against his steering wheel as he spots the black Audi A8 crawling through the dimly lit streets of downtown Memphis. Something about that car doesn't sit right. Too luxurious for this neighborhood, moving too slowly, like it doesn't belong. Officer Nathan Rusk's jaw tightens as he flips on his lights, satisfaction coursing through him as the expensive vehicle pulls to the curb. The evening air carries the faint scent of magnolia as Officer Nathan Rusk approaches, his hand automatically rising to touch the gleaming badge that has given him authority for 15 years. Its familiar weight against his chest feeds his confidence with each step. The tinted windows slowly lower, and Officer Nathan Rusk's lips curl slightly. He's seen this move before, the slow descent meant to test his patience. License and registration. Officer Nathan Rusk barks his flashlight beam, cutting through the darkness to illuminate the driver's face. The sight of judicial robes catches him off guard, but he recovers quickly. A black woman in judge's garb. In this part of town, his suspicion deepens. The metallic click of his body camera activates its red light, reflecting in her side mirror like a warning. Officer Nathan Rusk leans closer, deliberately invading her space. "I said license and registration, now!" His voice carries the steel of countless similar stops of power, never questioned. A young man across the street raises his phone, recording. Officer Nathan Rusk notices, but doesn't flinch. He's done nothing wrong, has he? The badge seems to pulse against his chest as the woman's eyes meet his, defiant and unafraid. Something flickers in his gut, uncertainty, but he crushes it beneath years of ingrained authority. "I'm Judge Cassandra Lowell, heading home from night court," she states calmly, reaching slowly for her credentials. "Is there a reason you've stopped me? Officer Nathan Rusk." The use of his full name read from his nameplate sends an unexpected chill down his spine. But Officer Nathan Rusk doubles down, grip tightening on his flashlight. This is an unusual route for someone of your claimed position. A crowd begins to gather, phones glowing like fireflies in the growing darkness. Officer Nathan Rusk's heart rate quickens as he hears whispers, catches fragments of racial profiling and abuse of power. His radio crackles with his partner's voice. "Nathan, that's Judge Lowell from the federal court. Stand down." But Officer Nathan Rusk can't back down now. His authority, his judgment, everything he's built his identity on, hangs in the balance. "Step out of the vehicle," he commands, hand instinctively moving to his holster. The crowd's murmurs grow louder. Your Rusk profile flashes on one of the phone screens, and Officer Nathan Rusk feels the first tremor of real fear. The badge that moments ago felt like a shield now burns against his chest like a brand. How did a routine stop spiral so quickly? When did his certainty become quicksand beneath his feet? As Judge Lowell calmly complies, her robes flowing in the evening breeze, Officer Nathan Rusk's training battles with his pride. The video cameras catching every moment, every micro-expression, every abuse of power he's trying to justify to himself. Will Officer Nathan Rusk's authority survive this night? Can 15 years of unchecked power withstand the scrutiny of justice itself? The badge that once promised protection now seems to whisper accusations against his chest. Drop 2. If you've ever felt your power challenged. Officer Nathan Rusk's mind races back to his academy days, to the instructor who taught him about control. Your badge is your shield, but remember, shields can become cages. Standing here now, surrounded by recording phones and growing outrage, those words take on a whole new meaning. Have you ever watched your certainty crumble in real time? The night air grows thick with tension as Officer Nathan Rusk faces a choice that will define not just his career, but everything he thought he knew about power justice and the thin blue line between right and wrong. Officer Nathan Rusk's fingers drum against his patrol car's steering wheel, watching the viral video of his confrontation with Judge Lowell play for the 100th time on his phone. 15 years of what he'd called proper procedure suddenly look different under the harsh light of social media, his own face twisted with an authority he barely recognizes. The precinct feels different today. Where colleagues once greeted him with easy camaraderie, now their eyes slide away. Officer Nathan Rusk notices whispers falling silent as he passes, the weight of his badge growing heavier with each step. Captain Martinez's words from the morning briefing echo. We're receiving multiple complaints about similar incidents spanning the last decade. His mind drifts to academy days, to Sergeant Thompson's unofficial lessons. Some people need to learn their place, Rusk. That's what the badge means. He'd absorbed those words like gospel, letting them shape every traffic stop, every confrontation. Now, as he reviews his body cam footage from previous stops, a pattern emerges that sends ice through his veins. The department's internal database glows on his monitor, a damning collection of statistics he'd never bothered to examine before. African-American drivers stopped at 4 times the rate of others in his patrol area. Complaints filed, then buried. Officer Nathan Rusk's name appears with disturbing frequency, each incident justified with the same phrases: suspicious behavior, non-compliance, officer safety. A notification pings on his phone. Another news outlet picking up the story. The comments section floods with similar stories, other drivers sharing encounters that mirror Judge Lowell's experience. Each one chips away at the fortress of justifications he's built around himself. Dr. Richardson's implicit bias study from the State Police Commission fills his screen words, jumping out, systematic patterns of discriminatory behavior often invisible to the officers themselves. Officer Nathan Rusk's throat tightens as he recognizes his own tactics described in clinical detail. His partner, Officer Chen, passes his desk without their usual fist bump. Your numbers are drawing attention, Rusk. Internal Affairs is asking questions about that Thompson-era training program. The badge on his chest, his shield of righteousness for so long, now feels like a target. Officer Nathan Rusk's hands shake slightly as he opens his personnel file, finding commendations built on the very behaviors now under scrutiny. Each excellent work and proactive policing citation carries a darker undertone he can't unsee. Have you ever wondered why certain officers have higher stop rates in minority neighborhoods? The question from last month's diversity training, dismissed, then now haunts him. The instructor's knowing look burns in his memory as Marchuk Rusk justice trends higher. His phone buzzes. A message from Sergeant Thompson, retired 3 years now. Stand your ground, son. We did nothing wrong. Officer Nathan Rusk stares at those words, the mentor's certainty no longer the comfort it once was. The final punch comes when Records forwards a decade-old complaint, buried but never truly gone. Another judge, another attitude adjustment, as Thompson would say. The same righteous anger, the same abuse of power, but this time there were no phones recording, no viral videos to force accountability. Type "truth hurts" if you've ever had to face your own biases. Scrolls across his screen as another news segment features his confrontation with Judge Lowell. Officer Nathan Rusk's reflection in his dark computer screen shows a man he's beginning to not recognize, uniform crisp, but confidence crumbling. 15 years of power wielded like a weapon, now turning back on itself. The badge catches the fluorescent light, no longer a symbol of pride, but a mirror reflecting uncomfortable truths. As shift change approaches, Officer Nathan Rusk sits alone in the precinct parking lot, wrestling with a question that won't let go. How many lives has he impacted? How many careers derailed? How many spirits broken in his crusade to maintain order? The weight of this realization presses down like a physical force, making even the act of starting his patrol car feel like a decision that will echo through time. Officer Nathan Rusk stares at his phone, watching the view counter tick up relentlessly. 6 hours since the video hit YouTube, and his hands won't stop shaking. The kitchen feels too small, too confining as another wave of notifications floods his screen. Judge Wieskop trends higher by the minute, each ping like a hammer, striking his badge that lies untouched on the kitchen table. This has to be a nightmare. Officer Nathan Rusk mutters refreshing CNN's website for the 100th time. His own face stares back at him, frozen in that moment of arrogance, as Judge Lowell's calm defiance becomes the symbol of resistance that's setting social media ablaze. The casual way he'd dismissed her credentials, his sneering tone. It all looks so different through the lens of millions of viewers. A text from Captain Martinez makes his stomach lurch. Internal Affairs wants to review your past stops. All of them. Officer Nathan Rusk's fingers trace the edge of his badge, the metal cold and accusatory. How many times had he approached vehicles with that same prejudgment? How many others had he treated with that same contempt he'd shown Judge Lowell? The sound of a car door slamming outside sends him ducking away from his window. Is it another news van? They've been circling his block like vultures. Officer Nathan Rusk's phone buzzes again, his partner declining to make a statement in his defense. Sorry, man. Can't get involved in this one. The abandonment stings worse than the administrative leave notice. His chest tightens as a new hashtag emerges. Rusk record. Activists are digging through his past stops, finding patterns he'd never wanted to acknowledge. Each unearthed complaint feels like another nail in his career's coffin. Officer Nathan Rusk's fingers hover over his phone, tempted to defend himself, but what could he possibly say? The evidence is damning and worse. It's forcing him to question every interaction, every stop, every assumption he's made in his 15 years on the force. Have you seen what they're saying about us? The text from Officer Collins, his academy classmate, carries a desperation that mirrors his own. This isn't just about you anymore, Nathan. They're calling for a complete department audit. Officer Nathan Rusk watches as his professional world begins to crumble, dominoes falling one by one. The chief's press conference plays on his laptop words like zero tolerance and comprehensive review cutting through his defenses. His badge catches the afternoon light, throwing shadows across his kitchen wall. Officer Nathan Rusk remembers how proudly he'd polished it that morning, certain of his authority, his righteousness. Now it seems to mock him, a symbol of power, wielded without wisdom. The viral video plays again on his TV, national news now, and he can't look away from his own face, seeing for the first time what others have seen all along. A new email notification, the police union representative suggesting he lay low until this blows over. But Officer Nathan Rusk knows with a certainty that chills him to his core that nothing about this will simply blow over. His hands shake as he reaches for his badge, the metal warm from the sun, heavy with the weight of consequences he never imagined he'd face. Drop one if you've ever watched someone's world unravel in real time. The Memphis Police Department's official statement scrolls across his screen, distancing themselves from his actions. Officer Nathan Rusk, sitting alone in his darkening kitchen, finally understands what it feels like to be on the other side of power. Exposed, vulnerable, and absolutely terrified of what tomorrow might bring. His phone buzzes one final time, for the day Judge Lowell is scheduled to testify before the City Council tomorrow. Officer Nathan Rusk's badge slides from his trembling fingers, clattering against the table's surface, a sound that echoes through his empty house like a gavel falling on his future. Officer Nathan Rusk's fingers kept brushing against the cold metal of the badge in his pocket, a nervous tick he couldn't control, as he sat in the hearing room. The fluorescent lights seemed harsher than he remembered from his countless previous testimonies. But then everything felt different today. Judge Cassandra Lowell's voice cut through the air with surgical precision, each word landing like a physical blow. Officer Nathan Rusk found himself shrinking in his seat, his once proud posture crumbling under the weight of evidence being presented. The viral video of the traffic stop played on the large screen, and he barely recognized himself in it. That arrogant stance, that dismissive tone. Click. Clicked so. Clicked. The constant sound of camera shutters felt like tiny accusations. Officer Nathan Rusk's throat tightened as social media metrics flashed across another screen. RuskExposed had reached over 2 million impressions in the last hour alone. His phone buzzed incessantly in his pocket, right next to that badge that now felt more like a burden than a symbol of authority. Officer Nathan Rusk. Judge Lowell's voice commanded his attention. Would you care to explain why you chose to escalate a routine traffic stop into what can only be described as an abuse of power? The words he'd rehearsed with his union representative evaporated. For the first time in his 15-year career, Officer Nathan Rusk heard his own voice waver. I followed protocol, Your Honor. The lie tasted bitter in his mouth. Did protocol instruct you to ignore my judicial credentials, to assume criminal intent despite clear identification? Each question pierced deeper than the last. A young reporter's phone chimed loudly with another viral alert. Officer Nathan Rusk watched the hashtag counter tick up again. His hand clutched the badge in his pocket so hard the edges cut into his palm. I've spent the last 12 hours reviewing your record, Officer Rusk, Judge Lowell continued. 17 similar complaints, all dismissed, all involving minorities in positions of authority. This stops today. The room's temperature seemed to drop 20 degrees. Officer Nathan Rusk's carefully constructed world of privilege and power began to crack. He glanced at his superior officers. The same ones who had always backed him up swept things under the rug. They wouldn't meet his eyes. Your Honor, His voice cracked. The badge felt like it was burning a hole in his pocket. Stand up, Officer Nathan Rusk. He rose on shaky legs, feeling the weight of every camera, every eye, every tweet. Based on the evidence presented, including your own body cam footage and multiple witness statements, I am recommending immediate suspension pending a full investigation into all previous complaints. The sound of handcuffs clicking open echoed through the chamber. Additionally, criminal charges will be filed for civil rights violations. Officer Nathan Rusk's world tilted sideways as his own colleagues approached with the handcuffs. The badge slipped from his pocket, clattering to the floor with a sound that seemed to echo his falling empire. It spun once on the marble floor, then landed face down, as if justice itself had spoken. Spindoing. Type justice served if you believe accountability matters. Ontons. The headlines would later read, Officer Nathan Rusk's fall how one traffic stop exposed systemic bias. But in that moment, all he could focus on was the sight of his badge being sealed into an evidence bag, his authority stripped away in front of the nation. The walk of shame through the courthouse corridors felt endless. Each step echoed with the weight of his choices, his prejudices, his abuse of power. Officer Nathan Rusk caught his reflection in a window. No longer proud, no longer untouchable. Just a man finally facing the consequences of his actions. I trusted that badge, he whispered more to himself than anyone else. But I never earned that trust. As the police transport door closed behind him, Officer Nathan Rusk's final glimpse was of Judge Lowell standing tall on the courthouse steps, a symbol of the justice he had fought so hard to subvert. Share this video if you believe no one is above the law. RuskExposed. Officer Nathan Rusk stared at his reflection in the precinct's bathroom mirror, the fluorescent lights casting harsh shadows across his face. 24 hours had transformed everything he thought he knew about power, justice, and his place in the world. His badge, once a symbol of unquestioned authority, now felt heavy with the weight of responsibility and remorse. "I used to think the badge made me right." Officer Nathan Rusk whispered to his reflection, fingers trembling, as they traced the metal surface that had defined his identity for 15 years. The viral footage of his confrontation with Judge Cassandra Lowell played on endless loop in his mind, each replay revealing another layer of his prejudices he'd refused to acknowledge. The mandatory reflection training room felt different today. Officer Nathan Rusk sat alone, surrounded by the faces of countless citizens whose trust he and others had betrayed. Their stories projected on the walls in a continuous cycle no longer sparked defensiveness, but understanding. The sound of his pen scratching against paper echoed as he wrote his final reflection. Power without compassion isn't protection, it's persecution. A notification chimed on his phone. Rusk Reflects was trending, but unlike yesterday's panic, a strange peace settled over him. His journey from arrogance to awareness had become a national conversation about change and accountability in law enforcement. The comment section overflowed with officers sharing their own moments of revelation. "Officer Rusk," a familiar voice called. Judge Lowell stood in the doorway, her presence no longer triggering his defensive instincts. "Your public statement is scheduled for noon." The walk to the press conference podium felt like miles. Officer Nathan Rusk's boots echoed against the marble floor each step, carrying the weight of transformation. The sea of cameras and phones reminded him of how quickly power could shift, how one moment of truth could cascade into thousands. "I stand before you not as the officer who abused his authority." Officer Nathan Rusk began, his voice steady, despite the emotion threatening to break through, but as a man who learned that true strength lies in acknowledging our failures. "This badge," he touched the metal on his chest, "isn't a shield to hide behind, but a mirror that should reflect our highest values." The press conference room fell silent as he removed his badge, placing it carefully on the podium. "This will be displayed in the Police Museum's new exhibition on reform and accountability, alongside my complete statement of responsibility and the curriculum I've helped develop for bias recognition training." Cameras clicked rapidly as tears fell freely down Officer Nathan Rusk's face. "To Judge Lowell, to every citizen I've failed through my biased actions, your dignity was never mine to question. Your rights were never mine to violate. This badge now serves a greater purpose, teaching others what I learned too late." The hashtag, Badge of Honor, exploded across social media platforms, accompanied by his image, not as a symbol of shame, but as a testament to the possibility of change. Officers across the country began posting their own stories of transformation, creating a movement larger than one man's journey. That evening, Officer Nathan Rusk stood before his locker for the last time. The familiar sound of Velcro as he removed his vest carried the weight of finality. His resignation letter lay on the chief's desk, but his work wasn't over. Tomorrow he would begin training other officers, sharing his story as a warning and a promise. Type "change" if you believe transformation is possible, scrolled across screens nationwide. Share this story if you've witnessed the power of accountability. Badge of Honor. Officer Nathan Rusk's final act in uniform was to place his vest in the museum display alongside the badge that had defined him for so long. The glass case reflected not just the metal and fabric, but the truth he'd finally embraced: real power lies not in authority, but in the courage to change. The badge that once silenced others now teaches them.